up, guys? We are back on the breakdown with Peyton, Cameron, and Alex. Today we'll be breaking down the mock draft for the NFL coming up on Thursday. We're breaking down our top 5 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, some sleepers that we might have, defensive players, and all we want is team needs. Let's get into it.
Starting off, QB1 off the board, I got Malik Willis. Dual threat, incredible athlete. He can throw the long ball. He can get it done with his legs. I think this guy should be a top 10 pick. I think the ceiling is there. The floor, it might not be very good. He could be a bust. And he could be a guy that's a top 10 quarterback. So I'm really looking forward to him. I think, maybe a situation like the Seahawks. Dude, I'd even like to see him go to the Texans or the Lions. I think the potential is there, but there is some risk.
I agree. I have Willis also as my number one quarterback. Potential through the roof with him. Highest upside out of all the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I really love his greatness. Coming to a small college, not getting recruited heavily out of high school, I think he has something to prove, though, a chip on his shoulder going against the league, showing that he can do whatever he wants in the NFL.
I think, didn't he played at Georgia as like a backup and then transferred to Liberty or something like that, where he got his opportunity to start and then just skyrocketed everything. He turned into one of the best quarterbacks.
Even though the concerns are there, this is a guy that was looked at as a late first-round pick, early second-round pick. A couple months ago, he goes to the combine and has a really good show.
Balls out.
But all of a sudden, he's we're talking like a top 10 pick for Malik Willis, and then alongside maybe another guy who's going to be a top 10 pick, probably more like top 20, Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh.
Pickett?
Payne's not a fan. I personally, I'm not the biggest Kenny Pickett guy, but I like him. I think he's a decent prospect.
I agree. I think coming in his freshman year to sophomore year to junior year, he continuously got better. So hopefully that goes into his NFL career and just continuously gets better as a quarterback.
Here's my thing from this year's draft class, quarterback-wise. If I have the opportunity to take Malik Willis, I'm taking him. But I would wait till next year when you have way more studs and franchise-changing guys instead of taking a chance on a first-round pick. Yeah, on one of those guys, and I would much rather take. This is one of the most loaded draft classes. All around, not just quarterback wise. So I think you can definitely take a different guy who can change your franchise in a different way on a different side of the
I
league.
agree. The Pittsburgh Steelers, and you're at pick 20, and Kenny Pickett is there, and let's say we're talking him as a ceiling. He's like a Ryan Tannehill guy. Are you taking Kenny
No,
Pickett?
I don't. I think you ride with Trubisky. You gotta see what he can do.
That's true.
And I give him a shot. A two-year deal.
If they had him on a cheap deal,
You give him the 1 year this year, you see how he plays, and if he doesn't play good, you ride it out next
the
year.
Steelers have a good roster all around. Ben was bad for them, yes. Trubisky can probably be better than him.
I agree.
Maybe a playoff. The AFC North, I really think it's up. I think it's up for
Now,
grabs.
if Pickett goes number 6 to Carolina, I'm assuming we all don't like that.
Carolina's a dumpster fire.
It
They
is
have
a dumpster
nothing.
fire. I agree.
They just signed DJ Moore to a max with no quarterback to throw to him.
bad coaching staff, bad O-lines.
I don't know how Matt Rule still has a job.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
I agree.
McCaffrey's gone too. They got to get rid of him. Injury-prone running back. They don't need him. They paid him too much money. It's just dumpster fire over there.
And then moving on to our number 3s, I think this is where we all kind of differ here. I have Sam Howell as my third quarterback off the board.
I have Ritter as my third.
And I have Corral as my third.
So
I think it all diverges for us because I think we see we like different stuff, we don't like different stuff.
I think these guys are all in a tier together, kind of. I think that there's the top 2, and then there's these guys. You can throw in Desmond Ritter too. I think these are all going to be second,
I think
3rd round picks.
I think 4 through 6 are all interchangeable. For me, I have Ritter as 3, and he's mobile. He has experience. He's a good leader.
Can
and
fly.
He can
Absolutely
fly. He has great touch on his throw. But the problem with me, he really has an average arm. He doesn't have outstanding arm strength like Malik Willis or Pickett. But
For me, with Ritter, it was the accuracy, short and mid. That's really important. But I love the dual threat aspect.
yeah.
I think for me, Howell, Corral, Ritter, I have them 3, 4, 5. But I think all can get drafted in the second round, and all they'll get their chance to start.
Right.
Whether they capitalize on that or not, we'll see. But
I think a lot of it.
projects.
I think a lot of it goes into where they're drafted. I feel
I agree.
like we said, Carolina. I don't see a quarterback succeeding there.
No way.
Awful coaching, just terrible office over there. But I feel like if the Steelers do take a quarterback and he sits behind Trubisky for a couple
I
years,
like
maybe
that.
steps in his
That's a
first
great
year to get some
situation.
starts, then he could explode and really do something there.
Then should we move on? Let's go to the wide receivers.
Yeah, wide
Probably
receivers.
the best aspect of this draft. I mean,
Right.
we got some absolute studs at the wide receiver position.
I think we all should have a consensus number one here.
Ooh,
I don't.
I don't think so.
I love Garrett
I think,
Wilson.
yes, I was
Really?
I was 1 and 2 with Wilson and Jameson Williams, but I think in the end you got to put Wilson 1. I think you have to.
You know, I was gonna put Williams number 2. Unfortunately, is with the A20 ACL. I put him at 3 behind Treylon Burks as well.
Treylon
I love
I
Treylon
have-
Burks.
I have Burks 3.
Well,
Do you have Drake London, huh?
I am a huge Drake London is my guy. I'm staking my claim. Drake London will be the wide receiver one in this draft class. I think this guy's a physical monster. I see DeAndre Hopkins potential. Dude, he came to USC, broke out as a freshman next to Pittman and Amon-Ra St. Brown. He played freshman basketball at USC. Think about that. And played freshman football. He's 20 years old.
I'm the same with Burks. Burks is like physically dominant. He's kind of like an AJ Brown
Burks is-
Debo hybrid.
Burks is
And-
my number 2.
And who do you not love out of AJ Brown and Debo Samuel? 2 of the best wide receivers, pretty much combined into one. Treylon Burks, potential through the roof.
For me, those 2 guys, I have them as my top 2 for that reason. Just the physical traits. I mean, those are your alpha X
physically
wide
dominant.
receivers that
Exactly.
are going to that you can throw the ball up to, and they're going to make plays for you every single time. And I do have Garrett Wilson as my number 3.
Don't forget about Garrett Wilson. Garrett
And who's
Wilson's
a stud.
no
Well,
small
I will
guy
say
either.
he's a stud. He's a quick route runner. I mean, he's got great hands.
Bouncy. He's super athletic.
Incredibly.
He'll go up and
Go up and
snag
grab
that ball
balls,
over
yeah.
your head.
Now I will say I do have Jameson Williams as my 6th wide receiver,
6.
and I know he's a lot of people's number 1.
I have
Wow.
him. I have him
And-
high, but I can see why you have him low, considering his main dominant trait was his blazing speed and athleticism. But coming off an ACL tear, we won't really know like how it affects his blazing speed.
Look at this
So,
guy, Chris Olave at 4. Hold up,
Olave,
we gotta figure out that.
I have Olave at 6 behind Pickens.
I think Olave is probably the most disrespected wide receiver in this draft class. Ran a 4.39. He was the 3rd best wide receiver in his team this year behind who? Jackson Smith-Njigba,
Who is probably
who's
the best
going to be
in
a
the
top
nation.
10 pick next year.
I think-
Garrett Wilson, maybe a top 10 pick this year. I think Chris Olave is honestly the next T.Y. Hilton. He's
Okay.
going to burn second.
Yes, he's fast. He's not as explosive as people say, and he's not physically dominant like all these other people.
But he
If
has
he's
the
pre-
route running.
That is true. If he's pressed at the line, we've seen many wide receivers press at the line, no physical, can't get past the first cornerback, can't produce. So
But I
We'll
also
see how
like,
that is.
he's going to go in the late first, probably late first.
yeah, I think
Packers, Chiefs, Cardinals, Cowboys,
Patriots. I mean,
all picked there.
I mean, Chris Olave has a basic same comparison as was it Paris Campbell, same out of Ohio State, speedy route runner. I mean, good route running, but I mean, you see him get shot.
I
down.
agree.
He's
I
like,
think-
you don't even hear his name anymore.
I think
Colts.
all the guys above him, the Williams, Wilson, Burks, London,
That's
can
a-
all be wide receiver ones on their
Yeah,
team.
I
I
agree.
don't think Olave can be. George Pickens is up there, I think maybe, but he's also coming
I
off
got
an
Pickens
ACL
as my
tear.
5th. I think the potential's through the roof there.
Oh,
he's,
yeah.
he's a monster. I
I
like
like
him.
he goes
as,
up
like,
and grabs balls, 50-50 balls. Those are like
he's
70,
physical.
30 balls.
He's
now.
aggressive. You've seen him get into fights before. I mean, he's just an absolute monster. I have him as like a Michael Gallup kind of guy. You know, he's gonna win
Yeah.
those contested catches, and
He is speedy, like we say, but I
The
think
injury
where he
concern.
lacks, yes, injuries. I think his yards after catch
yeah.
is a little iffy, and I feel like in the NFL today, yards after catch is a big
I
deal.
have a question. So why do you have Olave over Williams?
So for me, I don't know if I saw enough from Williams. He had first of all, he was at Ohio State before. He couldn't get on the field there. He was behind Jackson Smith-Njigba,
Okay.
Olave, Garrett Wilson. He couldn't produce there, and I just after this injury, he's gonna miss rookie OTA. He's gonna miss
Right.
minicamp. I see him as a great fit for like an NFL team.
I-
He's going to go in the middle of the first round
Uh-huh.
because he has the speed. He's going to cause problems for NFL secondaries, but from a production standpoint, I think that these other guys are going to outproduce him.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna disagree. He was top 3 in Bama receiving yards in a season of all time in Bama history. And the guys above him are Amari Cooper and Devontae Smith.
That's elite,
So,
elite company.
You talk about the production. He produced in college, and how many Alabama wide receivers produce in college and then produce in NFL? Almost all of
There's a
them.
lot.
Which is why I
Yeah,
think
that's fair.
and why I have Williams and why I have Williams top 2.
You're comparing Williams to like a Will Fuller type.
Yeah, Will Fuller, Ruggs. I mean, the guy's going to stretch the field. I just don't know if I feel like I just have a really good feeling. I think these guys are going to outproduce him. Now, I could be very wrong.
I hope
could
Williams.
be very wrong.
I hope Williams doesn't go the same path as Fuller with all the ACL injuries.
I know that.
That's
devastating.
it's unfortunate.
I mean, but even Fuller
Fuller was a
Good.
good
Yeah, he
wide receiver.
great
Just never
last
stayed
year.
healthy. I mean,
and the PEDs happened at the end of last year.
for me, after that, Williams, Olave, Pickens, I think there's a little bit of a drop off. Next after that, I have Jahan Dotson out of Penn State, David Bell out of Purdue.
I like David Bell.
I like David Bell. I think he's, everyone kind of really freaked out over his 40-yard time. He ran a 4.65. It's not blazing, but I mean, if you watch his tape, I mean, he's not a guy he's not a guy who's gonna burn you down the field. He's a slot guy.
Right.
He's gonna win those possessions. He's a little bit of like a Keenan Allen type, a little Tyler Boyd. He's gonna take care of the ball on the inside, go across those linebackers,
Yep.
take some hits. I mean, I think that's a guy who could carve out a role.
Which is right, and where he's getting drafted is you're not going to find many wide receiver ones at that position. So he can fill wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 role, which is
It's
what
gonna
you
be
want
a-
out of him.
It's gonna be a round 4, round 5 pick probably.
Exactly.
And then rounding out my list, I got Sky Moore and Justin Ross. Two guys with a lot of potential. Sky Moore probably going to be a first-round pick at this point. I mean, out of Eastern Michigan, or Western Michigan, sorry. I mean, blazing speed, looks a lot like Golden Tate. Small, he's a small guy. And then Justin Ross.
I like Justin Ross out of Clemson.
Maybe.
I mean, you forget about
You do.
we forget about Justin Ross.
His freshman year, he toasted Alabama.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, he outperformed this guy named T. Higgins, who's
you may have heard of
a
him.
pretty damn good wide receiver. And Hunter Renfrow was also a pretty damn good wide receiver on the Raiders too. So I mean, but the injury concern for Justin Ross is awful. Neck
It's
injury.
unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
A guy could find himself undrafted, but I mean, the potential is just 6'4", 210. I mean, absolute animal.
Yep.
I
When
mean,
Judge falls.
if you're in like the late 5th, 6th, I think you take a flyer on him.
Yeah,
if
why not?
medicals check out, absolutely.
Exactly.
And that's a guy that could be on your. That could be like a wide receiver too.
Yeah.
At some point, if he develops, and as long as he's
And if
healthy.
he stays healthy, yeah.
All right, moving on. We're gonna go into the running backs. Probably the most boring and shallow part of this class.
I'm with
and
Alex. I
there's
think-
not really a lot to see.
I think there's your 3 main guys in Brees Spiller and Kenneth. But outside of that, you got
You got Pierre Strong Jr. out of South Dakota State.
I have seen some stuff about Pierce Strong.
Damian Pierce.
Literally everybody's talking about Pierre Strong Jr. He's great scat back, 3rd, 4th rounds, a steal. He bounces through the holes super easily, great pass catcher.
He's a grown man.
I mean, dude, the level of competition he played against, not that much, but there's a lot of people that come out of that FCS part that succeed in the NFL.
Yep.
I mean, I think you can definitely, if he, like I said, if he finds the right fit, he can start. I see him as like a Tony Pollard type of scat back, which can, if Tony Pollard gets the right opportunity, he's
Yeah,
gonna
we
be a
saw
starter.
we saw what he did with his limited options last year.
And I think that's Pierre Strong Jr. Fantasy wise, if he goes somewhere nice, like it's gonna be scary.
I think we gotta talk about Brees Hall for a minute.
I think we all consensus number 1.
Yeah, Brees
Have to
Hall.
agree on
I
that.
think there's a little bit of a Brees Hall, and then there's Kenneth Walker. I think Brees Hall is going to be he's going to be a star in the NFL. I think
Agreed.
wherever he goes, he's going to start. Maybe everyone wants to say Buffalo. I don't think Buffalo takes him in the first round, and I don't think he falls to 57. I think New York Jets is possible. I mean, he ran a 4.39 at the combine. He catches passes. He does everything.
He's powerful.
He's a stud.
He can break tackles. Great balance. He may not be the fastest, but I think he lets that, or it doesn't really matter with his power and his balance. He bounces off tackles. Doesn't go down on the first hit. So not much to hate about him, but I definitely think he's the number 1 running back. And
then number 2, y'all got
Easy.
Isaiah Spiller or Kenneth Walker.
Easy Kenneth Walker.
I agree with Kenneth Walker. 100%.
for me, bias, I have Spiller.
I
But
didn't,
it
even, I,
is
didn't,
2A, 2B with me.
I didn't even think
I
Spiller
think-
was the best running back on his team.
Really?
Personally.
All right. Well,
I
that's
think-
an interesting take.
That is an interesting take. He did deal with injuries.
I thought A-Chain was better.
He
I thought
did.
it was better fit for them.
He did deal with injuries, but I mean, he's thick.
No, don't pause. I'm editing that out. It didn't even sound right. Hold,
Lower body, he bounces off tackles kind of like Brees Hall does. He's a 4-down guy like he was in A&M, and I do think he'll produce at the NFL level. I mean, I think he has great vision. I mean, pretty.
I'm gonna have to say I completely disagree with you.
I can really disagree with that too.
This guy was going to be a first or second round pick, and then he went to the combine. He didn't run at the combine. Then he goes and he runs a 4.7 in his pro day, which is slow. That is slow for an NFL running back.
And a third, fourth down guy.
He's undersized as well. He does not have the size needed to be an NFL running back. I don't think. I think he's going to be a third down guy. Maybe if he finds his way to the Houston Texans, maybe he gets a 3-down role. But I see him as like a Duke Johnson type.
His ceiling is Jay Ajay right now, bro. Who is that? Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Jay Ajay.
Moving on, I have my two guys outside of those three. I like Dameon Pierce out of Florida a lot. I got to see him run against Florida State. Guy's an absolute monster. He is a tough physical running back. I think he could be an early down grinder in the right scenario. I mean, he's physical. He's that guy you put out there. He's gonna get you 2-3 yards every time. Might not be pretty. I see a lot of Frank Gore in him. Tough physical runner. And then
I also like Brian Robertson out of Alabama. He runs fast. That's the Alabama offense. You run fast. You get through holes fast. You hit the hole fast.
What do you mean by that?
Catches passes.
I don't like
What
James.
about Zamir White?
I don't like James Cook or Zamir White. If I'm gonna be
Yeah, me
100%
neither.
honest. James
But
Cook
there's just
is
some guys you got to mention.
James.
I think
I don't
James
think
Cook-
I really don't think there's much to talk about any guy outside the.
I don't think
top.
James Cook can take a hit. I think if he takes one NFL hit, he's gonna break like
kind
10
of like
bones.
his brother Dalvin.
Well,
But it
he's
is what it
he's
is.
about like this.
All right, on
James Cook is about this small. I think if he takes one hit, he's going to get all of his bones.
All right, on for defense.
Start off the defense. I don't think it's a bold take. I think all of us have Stingley over Sauce.
I do.
I think-
I like Sauce.
I mean, you gotta love the name Sauce Gardner, one of the best names in the game. But Stingley, I think for me, what puts Stingley ahead of Sauce is his ball skills. You see when the ball's in the air, kind of like in a one-on-one, he either comes down with it or just knocks it away. There was talks with him his freshman year of them playing him both sides at wide receiver and
I
cornerback.
do want to say, last time someone took a year off, and they came back and they went to the NFL draft, his name was Jamar Chase, pretty good football player. Derek Stingley, I think, is going to do the same.
Mhm.
But I think both are top 10 picks. I think both are quarterbacks.
I think you can't go wrong with either one.
I agree.
I mean, Sauce, what he did, he didn't give up a touchdown, right? His whole 3 years playing.
I want to talk about Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. I think this is the next big safety in the NFL. I like him as a Derwin James comp, Harrison Smith comp. Jesus. This guy's a playmaker. I watched him play against Florida State, and he ran all halfway across the field.
I'm
and just
sure.
stuck the ball.
I'm sure we all saw that clip. Him on what? The other 50 runs all the way across.
How about the All-American? He's on the far hash. He gets all the way to the opposite sideline. Look at the close. I mean, when the ball is in the air, he's on the near hash. Still has to.
That's insane.
I've also seen people hate on him for not being as fast as I thought he would.
Yeah, he didn't run as fast as 40, but I mean, if you go watch him, I mean, he plays fast. And
I want him on my team.
Oh, who doesn't? I think he has. I was seeing take Hall of Fame upside with him. I mean, you don't see people take safeties top 5, but this guy is someone you may want to think about taking top 1.
I agree.
That's how good he is. But that's not the thing to do to take a safety that high. But
Now, if we're talking
top
about
one.
top 2 and not 2.
If we're talking about physical athletes, well, let's talk about Jordan Davis.
Oh, he's big.
6'6", 341 pounds, and ran a
He's big.
4.78.
He's big. And
4.78.
Peyton could not run a 5 right now. So to think about this
We
guy,
cut Peyton at 6'5'3".
and this guy ran a 4.78. So let's just think about that. A 6'6", 341 pound man running a 4.78. That he
How
deserves
much
a
does he weigh?
top 341 pounds.
341 pounds running a 4.78.
That's
unheard of.
Bro,
Unheard
he's
of.
triple Cameron's body weight right now. That's so crazy.
At the size he is, he'll fill the gap at the D tackle position. But alongside him, his teammate, a guy I love, top 1 potential, Trayvon Walker. Tall, long, huge, 6'5", 272. I think his production was overshadowed by how good Jordan Davis played. May not be as good as Jordan Davis, but he's up there.
That
Long
Georgia
arms.
defense might have 4 or 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Trayvon ran a 4.51 as an edge rusher. I mean,
4
I will say though, the way they used him at Georgia was weird, like you said. It kind of got overshadowed. They used him on the inside a lot too, so he didn't really get to prove if he could like be that elite edge
He was
rusher.
listed as an edge, but
You know,
you
he played inside a lot.
you watched him at Georgia, and it was like him and Jordan right there sometimes. But I think tall, long, huge. He's not easily moved, and as an edge rusher, that's what you want, so you can force him back.
And
I think what a lot of people see in him it was like a JJ Watt, like clown type, where he can move around like the defensive line,
That's
you know,
very
like create
very
problems.
high praise.
I mean, you could probably put him on inside, outside, you know,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do.
I think two guys that we haven't talked about yet are probably the two best defensive prospects in this draft. I mean, if you want to say it.
Aiden
Kayvon.
Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau, probably, or recently, what they've been 1 and 2 talk. You really don't know. Kayvon's dropped a little bit more. But
Due to the, he didn't get to finish out strong. He had that injury.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
he's
think
a specimen though.
both guys are elite edge rushing prospects, and they're projected to go 1-2. But I mean, we've heard talks out of Jacksonville that there's going to be a surprise to the number 1 pick. So, I mean, whoever gets 2, if you get Aiden Hutchinson at 2 or Kayvon Thibodeau at 2, and then one of the other guys at 3, you're getting a steal.
I just think
you can't go wrong with either
like,
one of them.
I really think it's a loaded draft class.
I think it is, and
I
I think
think
it's overshadowed.
I think
by
it was
the lack of
overshadowed by
QBs.
the lack of the QBs. But like outside of the lack of the QBs, like you have one of the best wide receiver classes, super good and deep defensive, and that's all. That's like all
The
you
edge
really-
rushers in this class are nuts, and the offensive
I'm
linemen.
about
There are
to
some
say.
good offensive linemen in this class.
Mhm.
We're going to see a bunch of offensive linemen taken in the top 10. But when you don't,
Going into round 1, team needs. Starting off with the Jags, O-line. You got to protect T-Law. T-Law is y'all's franchise. You got to protect him, give him some time to throw.
And then 2-3 Lions and Texans both need edge rushers, Kayvon or Aiden or
Aiden,
Trayvon Walker.
Or
you know.
Trayvon Walker.
I look at the Jets and Giants, both New York teams at 4 and 5. Their O lines are atrocious. They have young quarterbacks. Daniel Jones, young-ish. I think that both can succeed if given the right pieces. I think they both need to take O-line there, shore up their production, give their guys the best opportunity to succeed, and I think Daniel Jones will be a top 20 quarterback next year if those issues are resolved.
I agree. Adding on to the Giants, you have a top guy in Saquon who's been hurt, but that's because of bad O-line. Get him the O-line so he can produce. It'll skyrocket the offense in New York. You never know what can happen in the NFC East. So
Agreed.
number 6, we got the Panthers.
Yuck.
Who do you
You hate the Panthers? I'm not the Panthers.
maybe? Who cares about the Panthers?
I don't care about the Panthers.
Maybe O-line. It doesn't
Maybe
really matter.
quarterback, maybe Kenny Pickett.
They may take a defensive tackle.
Panthers
They
should
don't
go
need
line. Bears should go line.
Falcons at 8, I think, is a wide receiver. I think Garrett Wilson goes off the board there. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for him. Young offense.
Alongside Pitts, I think that'll definitely help
When
their
he comes
offense a
back
lot.
next year, good
Easily.
opportunity.
Seattle, if Malik Willis is on the board,
Grab
Seattle
Malik
goes.
Willis.
Yeah, I don't think they can ride with Flock. I mean, if they're at least trying to be competitive, which
In a
maybe
good
their
division.
roster, maybe their roster isn't there yet.
Got 2 good wide receivers.
Do have 2 good wide receivers, but you got to get somebody that can throw them the ball.
Speaking of
Drew
wide
Lock probably
receivers,
isn't their guy.
Alex's favorite prospect.
Drake London. Drake London is going number 10 to the New York Jets.
Write it down.
Write
Mark
it down. Mark it down. You're going to see it on Thursday night. I may be wrong, but
Personally, I don't think me and Peyton agree with him.
But I'm staking my claim. Drake London is going 10th to New York Jets, and he's going to be the perfect outside threat for Zach Wilson to throw to.
Alongside Elijah Moore and yours truly, Braxton Berrios.
Great locker room guy.
Right after the Jets, we have the Commanders. They also need wide receivers.
Alongside
Dumpster fire.
Terry.
Dumpster
You
fire.
know,
I
Jameson
agree.
Williams, Traylon Burks.
Take the top off the defense.
Yeah.
Pair up with Terry.
Minnesota. I think,
Maybe a run. Doubt it.
Minnesota. I think you take an edge or a corner. Offense is kind of solidified. Thielen, Jefferson. You got Dalvin at running back.
Jettas. Yep, that is a great
You got
offense.
Kirk. I think you take defense. That kind of an open division, if I'm being honest. Green Bay's gotten a lot worse. Obviously, lost to Darius Smith, lost Devontae Adams.
Hey, if the Lions get a good edge rusher, you never know.
Maybe Jared Goff.
Never-
lead the
Maybe
team
they
back
get
to-
maybe get 4
Hey,
wins
he's done
this
it
year.
before. Sleeper team, Lions.
And then at 13, the Texans if Kyle Hamilton's on the board, that's an auto select. Like, don't even like wait for the clock. Just go ahead and.
It may sound like a boring pick to y'all casual NFL fans, but Kyle Hamilton is probably the best player in the draft, whether you like it or not.
14 Ravens. Ravens had 2 sacks per game last year. That is awful. You play in a division with Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, and Mitchell Trubisky. You're gonna have to get after the quarterback.
Yep, and
Can't draft some edge rushers or some D linemen.
Or Jordan Davis right in the middle to stop those
Elite running
quarterbacks
backs.
and also those elite running backs in that division.
got Joe Mixon, you got Najee, you got
Kareem
Kareem Hunt, and
Chubb.
Nick
The
Chubb.
kicker. Yep. Eagles need secondary or wide receiver help. They need a wide receiver too. Honestly, if you're a wide receiver too, that might be the place to go to die in that Philadelphia run
Yeah.
offense.
You got what, Jalen Rager?
Would hate to see Traylon Burks end up there.
Ouch.
Would hate to see Traylon Burks end up there.
Yeah, you really don't see any good wide receivers going in Philadelphia. I mean,
Saints at 16. I think this. We can all agree. Saints need to replace the Teron Armstead in the
Easily.
Have
And then
to.
at 17, the Chargers definitely need.
I'll probably go Devin Lloyd, but
I don't think they did.
Honestly, LA Showtime, bring Williams or
I think
Olave
bring,
in there.
bring a deep threat in
Throw
there.
the ball on the
I think
field.
they're picking perfectly. I mean, I think everyone can agree they have a Super Bowl ready roster.
I think I think why not add that deep threat in Olave or Williams in that high Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos. You're gonna have to keep up
Why
offensively.
not?
Why not
Yep.
increase the offense? Moving on, Saints pick again. Saints probably need a wide receiver. I would not be shocked if the Saints took a quarterback. Could you see a Corral go in there?
I don't think they'll do
I don't think
anything
it
with
happens.
Winston. But I do also think they're tanking. I think
They're
the
rebuilding.
whole situation,
Cap.
they're rebuilding.
Cap situation.
And
is
just
horrible.
the Saints, the
Awful.
Steelers also might go quarterback with Trubisky, but they also need to address a few other needs like O-line.
O
and
line was
corner.
pretty bad as well. Cornerback. They did lose some cornerbacks.
Joe Hayden is old.
21 Patriots. Patriots probably need a wide receiver. Not gonna happen.
I think they go Devin Lloyd if he's there, or N'Kobe Dean.
Yeah, or corner.
We'll see.
Corner replace
Replace
J.C.
J.C. Jackson. Yep.
Packers at 22. Wide receiver. Wide receiver. Wide receiver. It
Have
has
to get wide
happen.
receiver. You
It
lost
has
the
to
best in the
happen.
league. You can't win games
with
with
Amari
Allen Lazard.
Rogers and Alan Lazard.
And I think Austin
And Scantling's gone, and he was their deep threat guy. So
and I think Cardinals are locked to go wide receiver too. Cliff Kingsbury is not going to lose Kirk and then not get a wide receiver.
And they run a lot of 4 wide receiver sets.
Yeah, they have to go.
maybe
receiver.
I think Rondell Moore can step up and be that guy.
Really?
I do. I think Rondell Moore's athleticism, whole play style is
Undersized
amazing.
wide receiver. Very undersized.
Honestly,
Great with the ball in his hands.
See, I can understand.
Super shifty.
I can-
super versatile.
I can
A
understand,
really good guy.
I can understand that horrible take, but this is one of the most stacked wide receiver classes, and I think you have to go.
I agree. I think if there's a top 5 guy there, you have to take.
And I think Jerry Jones is going to Jerry Jones, and I think Jerry Jones is going to take a wide receiver.
that's what Jerry Jones
because
does.
Jerry
We
Jones
saw it
likes
2 years
to score points. He doesn't really care about how bad his defense is.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you
if,
have-
if Traylon Burks is there, it's an auto
Oh my
select.
gosh.
Arkansas.
You saw what he did last year when you have Amari Cooper and Gallup. Nope, we take CD. It's okay. And then
And the-
boom, you saw how that helped them. So why not do it again? Trade Amari, get Traylon.
and do the Bills go Brees Hall 25?
I like it. I do like it. I don't like Singletary. I don't like Zach Moss. They missed on those 2. They brought in Breida, who had a weirdly good
Postseason?
postseason with them.
Yeah, and he's
But
washed.
he's not their guy. He's old. He's injury prone. I think they go Brees.
Really? All right. Titans. I think Titans take a wide receiver. I think like a Jahan Dotson in that range. Maybe a Christian Watson.
Sky Moore maybe.
Sky Moore. Someone in that range.
David
I think
Bell?
the Titans I think the Titans may move away to more of a balanced attack and maybe take a little off Henry because we've seen, he got banged up last year.
Did.
It was going to happen eventually. You can only run a guy into the ground so far.
Is Tannehill that guy though, to where they can do that with him?
He's paid to be that guy, so you better learn how to be
We
that
shall
guy.
see.
27. We got the Bucks. Tom Brady's back. Get him O-line. Replace the guards. They lost Ali Marpet. They lost Alex Cassa. They need a guard. Go draft a guard. Protect Tom Brady. He is old.
And then Green Bay.
Wide
Wide
receiver.
receiver.
Take another wide
Wide
receiver.
receiver.
Take 2 wide receivers in the top 28.
Wide
It needs
receiver.
to happen.
Wide receiver.
I
Okay.
think that's, again, Sky Moore, John
David
Dotson,
Bell.
one of those guys.
Yep. 29 Chiefs.
Wide receiver.
You know they
Wide
signed.
receiver.
They signed Juju. They signed Scantling. Do they draft a wide receiver though?
Do you think Juju
They have
is
Kelsey?
is your wide receiver 1?
I
Honestly,
think Juju can be the best wide receiver 2 on a team. We saw what he did behind Antonio, but there's at 29, there's not a wide receiver 1 on the board. So do you really take a high
I
draft
think
pick
you
for
put
that?
a Christian Watson in there, and I think he can succeed with his speed in that system.
Okay, this is an underrated take, but Jalen Petrie out of Baylor, their safety, Sorensen is gone. He's got to.
He was awful.
I mean, anybody can come in and replace Sorensen and be better than him.
I think the Chiefs could take Petrie and really love that pick. He's a gritty guy. He's underrated, fly under the radar at Baylor. Baylor had a really good season.
Yeah, they won the Big 12.
So I think they go wide receiver and then Petrie at 30.
Cincy looks like D-line. They fixed the O-line finally. They needed that bad.
Yes.
And I think they replaced, build up the D-line. It's a Super Bowl roster.
Get somebody else with Henderson.
Right.
Yeah.
And then 32 lines, I think best available.
Best available.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to want to take a quarterback at 32.
I wouldn't hate seeing a Corral or a Howell at 32. But I'd rather take a wide receiver. I mean, it sounds repetitive. We keep talking wide receiver. It's the deepest position in this class.
It's the best position in this
And a lot of these teams have a big need at wide receiver. A guy that we didn't want to talk about, George Pickens. I could take the George Pickens at 32. I like George Pickens.
And they have Amon-Ra, who, personally, he's a wide receiver 1 to me. You saw what he did at the end of last season. Broke out, had amazing games. I think him and Pickens can be a good duo for Jared Goff.
Pickens on the outside, and then Amon-Ra working out of the slot.
Those fantasy points get into Cameron's head with that number 1 talk.
I love me some Amon-Ra.
That's crazy.
All right, wrapping up. Hot takes for the NFL draft. Let's hear them. What are your hot takes for Thursday? Round 1.
I think Trayvon can go 1. That's my hot take.
Trayvon
Maybe
Walker.
not maybe a hot take right now because he's been bumping up draft boards, but I think he could go 1. That's my hot take.
I'm going to give a couple. Drake London to the Jets at 10. I think it's going to happen. I plan on speaking it into existence. And then I think Jaguars go offensive lineman 1. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to surprise us all. I think I can, or maybe like an Evan Neal, go number 1 overall to the Jags.
Yep, I think Evan Neal can go number 1 overall as well.
Okay.
And boom, the Steelers come out of left field and trade up for Malik Willis.
Wow. Okay, that is a hot take.
I have a hot take. The Patriots trade down. It's not a hot take. It's the Patriots. I'm a Patriots fan. We never draft in our position.
Finishing off the hot takes, I think the Packers take 2 wide receivers.
Easy. I don't even think it's a hot take. I think that's just
I think they have to. If they don't,
I think
everyone
they
on
have
their
to.
front office should get fired.
I think they should just take 7
Yeah.
wide receivers. What do you think? Just take one every round.
I think they should trade up to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and just take all the top 5 guys.
I would love to see the Packers trade up and get like Garrett Wilson, a Treylon Burks, or Drake London.
You know, I disagree, but that's his favorite team. Who wouldn't want to see Treylon Burks or Drake London on their team? So, I think that's wrapping it up. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're watching with us right now, you the best.
If you watched this far, I don't know what's wrong with you.
If you're right here, come up to me whenever this video drops, and I will give you $5.
He won't.
Like,
But
subscribe.
comment, Cameron will give you $5 in the comments.
If you
bro.
made it this far, I appreciate
Like
you.
the Instagram, we're making
Our own TikTok.
We're making a TikTok page.
Coming
TikTok.
soon.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Follow the Instagram. And comment down below what you want to see us talk about. Call us idiots. Call us smart.
We like to hear y'all's feedback. So
and
make
also,
sure.
also interact with our polls on Instagram. We are posting polls a lot now, especially leading up to the draft.
We'll have many more to come out. But make sure y'all tune in Thursday because the Jets are taking Drake London 10.
At 10.
At 10.
You will see it. Or
Mark it
else
down.
I will.
Shave his head again!
No, I'm not gonna
Yeah!
I'll wear a paper bag on my head for a little bit in the next video.
Alright.
Hey, if you are this far, comment and paper bag Alex, bro. Yeah.
Alright. Signing off the breakdown. Cam, Alex, Pay.
Peace.
Thanks for joining.